Off Limits is the money podcast that blows up stereotypes, showing you that managing money doesn't have to be hard.
We want you to thrive, not only with your money, but in every part of your life.
What you will get out of this podcast is real, relatable, and relevant tips and strategies that you can apply today. Hi, I'm Donald Raymond, and this is
Christine Spiak. We are money coaches, business owners, and colleagues who are passionate about helping you become more of who you are. So if you're ready, join us.
What within those expenses is optional? What are you spending more on that you could spend less on? What are you spending that you might not need to spend or you wouldn't spend first if you prioritized it? And that's where that prioritizing really comes into play. So again, like Christine said, whether you're doing percentages or you're just divvying up the money, paying the bills and looking at the totals down to the penny, which absolutely you should do, because we are working on a zero-based budget. And the one thing we haven't said about the zero-based budget is that working to a zero eliminates the need for any kind of lending or credit type of vehicle, any kind of credit product, right? So because it's a zero-based budget, we're not even considering putting something on a credit card. We're not considering taking out a loan to pay something off. We're not considering debt consolidation into these things, right? So what we're doing is we're taking the amount of available cash for that given period, a month, 2 months, a week, a day, whatever it is. And we're saying, I can afford to spend this much money. And then when that money's gone, that's it. The spending is over, right? So there's an element of responsibility and discipline that kind of develops as you work into this method of spend. But that's going to be true with any of these strategies, because if we're always basing the plan off 100% of the income, then depending on your time frame, your time period, you figure out what the income is, and when the money's gone, the budget's over. So you got to make sure those needs are met first.
Right. So simply put, a zero-based budget is your income less your expenses equals zero. So at the end of it, it doesn't mean we don't want you to have no money in your checking account or no money in a savings account. It just means that every dollar in that income period you have assigned to expenses, food, utilities, shelter, clothing, wants, setting aside money for travel, maybe paying down debt, and savings, right? So we talk about, and we will talk about in a future episode, sinking funds and how saving can set you up for success. And we're not going to get into the nitty-gritty of that here, but by budgeting every dollar into different funds and different accounts, into different categories, if you will, that's how you're setting yourself up for success. So a couple of things I want to backtrack on that Donald mentioned that I think is worth talking about a little bit further is all of that example he gave about the variable income and bonus and when your bonus gets paid out. All of that really trips people up, and it makes it very confusing and very complicated for them to even want to take this step into budgeting, because they just don't even know when that money is coming in and how to work with it once it does. The next thing that I think is important to mention too is when we talked about creating your cash flow plan, it's really important that you don't have analysis paralysis. Now that you have all this information on the cash flow plan, use it to fuel you moving forward. Don't be critical. Don't be judgmental of yourself. Don't feel shameful or embarrassed of, man, I've been spending this much money in my food category or my vacation category, or wow, I'm really spending a lot of money on clothing. Wait a minute, I thought I was a giver, but looking back the last 3 months, I really haven't given any money to anyone. Don't be critical of yourself. Just use the information to put you on the path towards where you ultimately want to end up.
Yeah. And, get it wrong, guess. Like you said, all of the dynamics, all of the variables around the income and how you're paid or how your employer makes changes, those are just givens. It's going to happen. It's constantly going to be in flux. Your income is going to change. It's going to go up. It's going to go down. You're going to have job changes. You're going to get promotions. You might get demotions. All that stuff is just going to happen. And you may even make decisions to step down and take a lower income position because it's just more fulfilling. You just enjoy doing the work more. And all of those things are okay. We just need to plan around them. So yeah, none of this is, none of what we're saying and none of the practice of budgeting and figuring out your income and planning should ever be done with a critical mentality, right? It's just information. We're just trying to make better decisions and make a plan that's going to work within a set of criteria, a set of given knowns, an understanding of what you have. So guess what your income's going to be if it's that inconsistent and you're really just not sure. Take 90 days, 3 months. It's always a great period of time to look at, typically, and you can. Most people are going to get paid somewhere in 90 days, and then you can just roll that forward, right? You just keep that current 90 days with you. You're always looking back. That's your rearview mirror. You're looking back over the last 90 days. You start projecting out farther and farther and farther, right? Looking out the windshield with just a little bit more confidence. You look back and you make some plans and you make some adjustments and your numbers get a little bit more dialed in. And then you start making that first kind of stretch goal. And then you achieve a milestone along the way, and you give yourself the pat on the back, and you hit the next milestone. And then before you know it, you've achieved that first kind of long-term goal. Maybe it was only 90 days out, right? But you've never planned that far ahead before. And now all of a sudden you've achieved a 90-day goal. Well, that gives you the confidence to go achieve a 180-day goal and then a 1-year goal. And then, you can go out, you can see how that just keeps pushing you forward. But you can do all that with just a 90-day history and just confidence in how to make those subtle adjustments along the way. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Off Limits.
Beyond the podcast, we are money coaches who want to help you.
So if you are looking for help managing your money, use the links in the description below to contact either of us and learn how coaching can help you thrive.
Lastly, please help us to spread the word by subscribing, leaving a comment, and sharing our podcast with your friends and family.